Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. I just want to start off by thanking everybody who has been watching the recent videos and commenting and forwarding the videos to their Magic playing friends. All of the support is awesome and it's making me feel really inspired to keep making these videos. With that said, I'm assuming some of you watching are Magic players who watched the last video, and if so, welcome back. It's okay, you're safe here. The Fortnite bus can't hurt you. In the last video, we briefly went over archetypes in Magic the Gathering and what Flesh and Blood heroes might line up with those. But we all know it gets a little more nuanced than that, and most decks aren't 100% one particular archetype. So what I thought I would do is make a series of videos and go through all of the heroes and pair them with one or two very specific decks from the history of Magic's competitive 60-card formats. There's like 50-something heroes in this game at this point, so I've got my work cut out for me. With that being said, here is part one of what Flesh and Blood hero is your Magic the Gathering deck. We're going to start things off with a more recent hero and a hero that I love to play. I actually brought them to US Nationals, and that is Fang, Drakai of Blades. Fang is a warrior, which, as we went over in the last video, means that they tend to lean a little more in the mid-range side of things. They've got pretty good armor block. As far as offense goes, they're going to be attacking with weapons and pumping up those weapons with attack reactions to make blocking a really difficult proposition for your opponent. Fang also has the Draconic talent, which opens him up to all of the Draconic cards. So this means he's going to be mostly playing red cards and leaning slightly more aggressive because of that. Fang's hero ability revolves around marking their opponents. Being marked doesn't have an inherent effect on the game state, but some cards and attacks will reference a hero being marked, and Fang's hero ability says that when he hits a marked hero, he gets a fealty token. Fealty tokens have a little bit of application, but mostly what you're looking for with Fang is to get 3 fealty tokens, because after that, all of his weapon attacks get discounted by 1, and the daggers he happens to play cost 1. Yeah, I got both cold foils. So once Fang's hero ability is online and he no longer has to pitch cards to attack with his daggers, he becomes a value machine. All of the cards in his hand get to either be used for blocking if he has to be the defensive deck, or for just pushing damage if he's on the offensive. And I think this mid-rangey game plan, where at the turning point of your strategy you just become a value machine, reminds me a lot of the Big Red archetype, specifically in the era when they had Chandra, Torch of Defiance. There's plenty of other cards that serve the same purpose. Chandra just makes sense in my brain, so bear with me. A Big Red deck is going to have some offensive capabilities, but not as much as Red deck wins, and they're going to have some removal and defensive capabilities, but not as much as a hard control deck. That feels a little bit like Fang. He's got great defense with his equipment, his cards don't necessarily block the best, and he wants to be able to push a little bit of damage, but once you get to that mid-game, once you get your 3 fealty tokens, or once you cast your Chandra, Torch of Defiance, every turn after that you are just outvaluing your opponent more and more and more. And that sort of incremental value that Fang gets to take advantage of feels very Big Red to me. He's not the best aggro deck, he's not the best control deck, but he's got a solid plan until he gets to this end game where he's basically the most efficient hero in the game when he's in his online state. Next up, we've got Verdance, Thorn of the Rose. So Verdance is a wizard, which typically wizards want to focus primarily on arcane damage. We went over this in the last video. Arcane damage is really difficult to prevent without sacrificing your own game plan. Wizards don't have a lot of armor block. They tend to just send arcane spells. They'll have a staff as their weapon that interacts with that in some way. Verdance, however, gets to be a little more defensive because she's got the earth talent, and earth cards are really great defensively. They've got some really good disruptive attacks like Felling of the Crown and Plow Under, so this shores up a little bit of the defensive weakness that wizards usually have. Verdance's hero ability is centered around life gain, which, don't freak out, life gain is actually reasonable in Flesh and Blood. We'll get into it in another video. But once she achieves her endgame state of banishing earth cards through various means, anytime she gains life, she'll deal a damage to her opponent. In addition to this, she's got a full combo game plan that she can enact if she's given enough time. Stormstriders are the de facto wizard boots, which allow you to play a wizard action at instant speed, so you can send a huge burn spell at your opponent's face on their own turn once all of their shields are down. This idea of an efficient mid-range deck that's also got a lethal combo plan built in feels to me like indomitable creativity from the modern era of Magic the Gathering. Creativity can play a perfectly fair game with Wrenn 6 and Fable of the Mirror Breaker, and that feels like the Earth portion of Verdance, where she's got the efficient blocks and the good disruptive attacks. Creativity also has its smaller combo, which is just persisting an Archon of Cruelty, but then also the big creativity turns where you get multiple Archons. And Verdance operates in a similar way. She's got her mini combo with Stormstriders, like we mentioned earlier, where you can play a big big burn spell on your opponent's turn, and then activate your staff for a little more damage, so they have to stay above a certain life or they will just explode. But Verdance also has a huge long-term combo that she can plan out for. And this is really going to speak to you combo gamers that like to hold priority and feel like a genius. And without getting too much into it, because I am not the Verdance gamer, we're going to talk to April about that one. You get to amp, which is buffing your arcane spells equal to the life you've gained that turn. And Verdance gains a bunch of life and then amps a bunch and then sends a spirit bomb at the opponent. So that's her big combo, her multiple creativity, whatever. And just because I have to mention it, we all know that there are game states as the creativity player where you literally just attack your opponent 20 times with a dwarf token because that's all you could muster, and that's just the way the game broke. And that's what Verdance's hero ability can turn into. You just gain a life, ping them, gain a life, ping them. She's got a specialization card that whenever you ping them, you gain a life. So then you ping them again. Oh yeah, it's spicy. Next on the list, I've got another hunted hero, and this is Arakni slipped through the cracks. Arakni is an assassin, which is going to poke at you with daggers and send you disruptive attacks, and their attacks have the stealth keyword, which interacts with their heroes in various ways. What Arakni's got going for him is his hero ability gives the first stealth attack each turn, go again. So he gets to make blocking a nightmare for your opponent while sending multiple attacks with multiple disruptive on-hits. Their coolest equipment piece, Flick Knives, literally just lets them throw their daggers at you in the middle of attacks. And so this disruptive, difficult to block, nickel and dime sort of strategy feels to me like Aristocrats in Magic. You might be a little bit on the fragile end, but you are putting your opponent to the test every turn, making them play perfectly, or else you're just gonna completely take over the game in value, or just bleed them out over time. And Arakni can do the same thing. The disruptive attacks, the daggers, he's even got an attack that is also a dagger, so that you can flick knives that dagger attack, which when it hits, makes you lose another life. It's literally Blood Artist. If you like Blood Artist, if Blood Artist is your favorite card in Magic the Gathering, just play Arakni slip through the cracks. Also, he is colloquially known as Slippy, and don't you want to roll up to a tournament and just give someone the beatdowns with Slippy? Next up on the list, we've got one for you control gamers. This is Jarl Vitredi. I think I pronounced that right. Jarl is a guardian, which is going to be massive armor block, big weapon attacks, and those crush effects that are going to deal huge damage to your opponent and demand blocks from them or they will suffer the crush effects. Jarl also has not only the earth talent that Verdance has, but also the ice talent. And right now he is the only hero in Classic Constructed with access to the ice cards. So not only does he have access to efficient blocks and disruption and mid-range attacks with the earth cards, but if he wants to lean more into his ice talent, then he becomes a mean, grindy, disruptive deck. He's going to slow you to a crawl, mangle all of your armor, and then once you are nothing but a block of ice, he's going to shatter you to bits. And this, to me, screams blue-white prison control. Jarl's hero ability says that whenever you play an ice card, if they have an exposed armor piece, meaning any of their head, chest, arms, or legs are gone, they get a frostbite token where that piece was. And the rest of Jarl's game plan heavily revolves around blowing up armor pieces, which is something most heroes don't get access to. So his plan is to slow you down, break your armor, and then turn you into a brick of ice. He gets to play ice cards that can stop attacks dead in their tracks and leave a frostbite token behind to slow down any other offense. If you love playing the game, but even more, you love making sure your opponent doesn't get to play the game, Jarl's the deck for you. And last up for today, I want to talk about a hero that does not get nearly as much recognition as he deserves, and that is Tekklovossen, esteemed magnet. Magnate? Magnate. Tekklovossen is a mechanologist, so steampunk things, but Tekklovossen is very different from all of the other heroes. Tekklo's whole game plan revolves around starting with useless equipment, but his deck is full of equipment upgrades, so he's going to be trying to play defensively, draw those equipment upgrades to place onto his armor pieces. Then, once he has all of his equipments upgraded, he transforms into literally Iron Man, but cooler, Tekklovossen the Mechropotent, and he just becomes a death machine. And it's pretty cool, but it's weird and there's a lot of moving pieces and it can be very difficult to make them all work together and your opponent is going to be pressuring you, but if you get to assemble all of these ridiculous pieces together, you do the coolest thing in the game. So that had me thinking, what is the most like Voltron strategy in 60 card Magic formats? Because I'm sure there's some sort of commander deck that would fit this bill, but I don't know nothing about commander. So I'm pretty sure the only Magic deck that could possibly compare to Tekklovossen would be Omnidoor Thragfire, here. For those of you who are fortunate enough never to have played against this deck, it was a pile of cards. It was just a pile of removal and mana fixing to get you all 5 colors, and eventually you play Omniscience, and then eventually you play Door to Nothingness, and eventually you activate Door to Nothingness and win the game that way. Ridiculous. Requires a lot of setup. Probably wasn't ever particularly good, but there are certain players who are truly Johnny Combo players at heart. And if that is you, and if you don't really care about your professional win rate and you just want to do the really cool thing and become a Gundam, then you should definitely play Tekklo. That's going to wrap up this one. There are so many heroes left to go, so please leave a comment and let me know what your pet deck is in Magic the Gathering so that I know which heroes to talk about next. Do the like thing and the subscribe thing and follow me on Twitter, and have a great day.